Michael Consul, how you doing, my friend?
Good evening, Mr. Martin, the host of the CFN FishOFF on WFN and Sportsman Channel.
Fingers crossed. Let's hope so. I mean, yes, years past, but this year, I don't know, Mikey. Hopefully, we're going to find out some good stuff that you and the judges have come up with. I know our anglers are ready. Our participants are getting themselves enrolled and qualified for the prize pack that you've offered up that we're going to talk about later in the broadcast. But give us an update, Mike.
Yep. Before we go into the update, it still amazes me that you're hosting a TV show alongside Bob Azumi, alongside Fishing Canada, alongside some of the pioneers of the Canadian fishing industry. You're in that group now, Scottie, which is crazy. It's amazing.
Mike, you're making me nervous, first of all. I'm getting all of a sudden I'm getting nervous. My knees are shaking. And second of all, I can't take all the credit, my friend. Listen, this has been such a team effort. And, let's start with yourself. Again, the efforts that go into this, not to mention our team of judges. Can't say enough about them that make this happen. But above no other, our participants, all the teams that have already pre-qualified, gotten signed up already. It's you guys that make this happen. And, I get to sit back and really watch the show. It's an honor, to be honest with you, Mike.
Just want to say what's up too. I saw a name on here that I want to say hi. Yeah. Quinn. Just want to say hi, Quinn.
Quinn says hi, right on. And guys, for the CFN FishOFF, I know over on CFN, you guys have done a fantastic job making sure that we could see who's making the comments. Like Kelly, I see you. Christina, how you doing? Luke's in the house. Brandon's here. So some of you have done a fantastic job allowing StreamYard to use your Facebook profile. All you have to do is go up to the Learn More that you see and click on that. And it'll allow StreamYard to go to your Facebook profile and allow you to use that profile in the comments so that we can find out who's saying all these wonderful things.
Yeah. So we won't keep you long. We'll be like about 15 minutes. Every Tuesday at 7 o'clock from now until the end of the tournament, Scottie and I will be coming on live just to give you a little bit more information as we go along. And then there's always stuff that comes up. So we wanted to keep the tournament anglers part of the CFN FishOFF, up to date and in tune so that we're all on the same page. So join us every Tuesday. And between now and the beginning of the tournament, we'll be reviewing some of the new rules that we're implementing in 2021 based upon your feedback. So we'll go through 3 of those rules today.
Number 1. No soft measuring tapes.
Okay, so based upon your feedback, like I said, and based upon the judges' experiences, it is really hard to get an accurate measurement, and the judges have a hard time when it's a soft measuring tape because it's either curves or it might be folded or it might not be full extended. So we're saying this year for the CFN FishOFF, we're not allowing any soft ribbon or measuring tapes. It has to be either a bump board or like a measuring tape that a contractor would use, a metal tape, or could be a metal etched ruler or a plastic ruler. It has to be a hard measuring tape. So I know for in the CFN FishOFF, our bump board wasn't long enough, so I had to pull out a ribbon tape to measure a huge sturgeon. Anything that is measured with a soft measuring tape can still be included, but it only counts as 1 point. So your measurement won't count if you're using a soft measuring tape. The fish will count as long as you have all the other elements like the code. But if it's a soft measuring tape, it only counts as a 1 point fish. So we're only allowing hard measuring tapes, making it easier for the judges because it's hard to calculate, is that curved or is that folded? But it also makes it much more fair for everyone else so that all our measurements are consistent.
And that makes sense, Mike, because at the end of the day, as this has started to gain traction and there's a lot of popularity, we have to make sure that we're legitimizing how we're measuring fish so that it can be fair across the board. And we want to make it fair as possible. Obviously, as Mike has mentioned on many occasions, it's all about the honor system here at the CFN and CFN FishOFF. But at the end of the day, we want to hold anglers as accountable as possible when it comes to those measurements. So good stuff, Mike.
So that's rule change number 1. And there's a bunch of them. What we're going to do is everyone that's registered, we're going to send you an email. And thank you for providing your email so that you can review all the rule changes prior to the first day of the FishOFF. And I know some of you have been competing for 4 years, and so you're used to a couple things. We want to make sure that you know all the rule changes, especially when you've been competing for so long, you might not realize, oh, that changed this year. So we'll make sure to send you a copy.
Right on. And somebody, I think it's Christina's asking how many teams are already signed up. And I believe Julie has mentioned that there's already 75 teams that have registered. That's fantastic.
Last time I checked, it was almost 80 teams, but I haven't checked since the weekend. So I'm not sure how many teams there are now. And we're going to probably be capping it, unless we get some more judges on board, probably be capping at 150 teams, which is 300 anglers. So we're halfway there, and we just really started promoting now that we have the date and a commitment from Shimano. And so we probably won't reveal it this week. We'll probably reveal it next Tuesday in terms of what Shimano is providing in terms of our weekly draws.
Absolutely. What's up, James Chambry's in the house. Sean Forche's here. Scott Berry, how you doing, buddy? Julie's here. Sean Pont, absolutely nice to see you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you who have shown up. Mike, the next rule change, of course, is a hot topic, and that is the hybrid species.
Okay, so this is definitely a big change from our previous years, the hybrid species rule change. And so our judges, especially those who are responsible for determining what species is what, and sometimes it's really difficult in terms of hybrid species. So that's mainly Brad and Ken, who are our species experts. And then sometimes they have to go outside of themselves and ask a person like Jason to say, can we get a third opinion? So the new hybrid species rule is that any hybrid species, as determined by the judges, is only a 1-point fish, which is cool because now we're only dealing with pure species. However, the cool part is now there's actual hybrids that can be included in the CFN FishOFF.
So in other words, Mike, if you incorrectly identify a hybrid fish, it counts as one fish as the common name. Is that how I'm to understand it?
So let me explain. So let's say it's a splake.
Yeah.
Okay. So which is a speckled trout and a lake trout. So if I catch a splake, as the team that caught it, I can decide, because its parents are a speckled trout and a lake trout, I'm going to include this as a speckled trout. But if I catch another splake, you know what? I'm going to include it as the other parent. I'm going to include it as a laker. But all hybrids are only 1 point. You can catch a 30-inch splake, but it's only going to count as a 1-point fish. So every single hybrid will be a 1-point fish, regardless of size. But now you could choose which parent you want to include it as. So another example, let's say
there's a good one
a hybrid between a pumpkin seed and a bluegill.
Yeah.
So I'll catch one. I know it's a hybrid because it has characteristics of both a pumpkin seed and a bluegill. It's over 8 inches. I'm going to include it as a pumpkin seed because it doesn't matter. It's only 1 point. But if I catch another one that's, let's say, 10.5 inches, I can include it as the other parent. So you can include hybrids as either parent, and if you catch more than one, you can get 1 point for one parent, 1 point for another parent. And it'll just make it easier for our judges in terms of identifying.
With this new rule change, Mike, I see a lot more fish being submitted.
Potentially.
Yep.
And it makes it a lot, the identification for our judges will make it a lot easier. Because our old rule was it only counts as the larger parent. Now it counts as either parent. And if you catch more than one, you can get 1 point for both parents.
So somewhere I have this vision that somewhere in a room right now, our judges are literally throwing furniture around.
This is a rule that they thought would make it a lot easier for the judging team to.
All right. So it's on them. So an example, and again, I see Facebook user tiger trout. If you identify it as a tiger trout, it's only worth 1 point, but you can then cross over to parent species as well.
So a tiger trout will be, you know what? I have to ask the judges. We were debating whether established hybrids would also be 1 point. So that would be like a tiger muskie, tiger trout, cut bow. Let me ask them. I can't remember what the decision was, whether it was either parent or those identified established named hybrids was an additional point. I'm going to have to ask, and we'll report back next Tuesday.
Okay, so great question. And this is what it's all about, guys, making sure that we're clear. So, obviously walleye, saugeye, 2 species. Obviously walleye is the parent. But if you can identify one as a saugeye, as Mike is saying, you could also then re-identify one as a walleye and the parent. So it allows you 1 more point, and depending on the size of it, even more.
Yeah, that's not even more, because all hybrids would be 1 point.
Just 1
point. So the only question is, regardless of size, the only question is whether or not those, and I think the rule, and I'll have to double check, but I think the rule is all hybrids are 1 point, and you have to decide which parent is you want to count.
Asking if he gets a 9-inch pumpkin seed and then an 8-inch hybrid, would that be 2 points?
You can only get 1 point per category, per species.
So about 2 points in total, like 1 for the pumpkin seed, 1 for the hybrid, correct?
If you got a hybrid pumpkin seed bluegill, that was 8 inches, but then you also got a 9-inch pumpkin seed. That was let's say that 9-inch pumpkin seed was a 2-point fish.
Right.
Then the higher point value is the one that stands. You can't have your name twice on the same species list.
Okay. So based on what Mike, what we'll do, the whole idea, guys, just so you understand, is we want to be able to submit more fish. It's a multi-species tournament, and there's a bit of a swing to this year's event that I think is really cool. But we want to make sure that there are more species for you to be able to enter, and that is what we are doing. But we want to make sure we get it right. So as Mike has just illustrated, we'll take it back to our judge team and make sure that we have a clearer version of what I consider good intentions.
Yeah. So once again, just to be clear, any hybrid species is only 1 point, regardless of size, and the team or the angler decides which of the parent species they're going to put it under. And if you happen to catch 2 of them, then you could have 1 under one parent, 1 under the other parent. The only question I'm going to go ask the judges after this call is whether we are allowing named hybrid species like a tiger trout, but I believe it's not. I believe it's any hybrid, 1 point. You tell us which parent.
Perfect. All right, buddy. Well, there's more to come with that one. This is a big one, and I think this was a great move on our judges' part. Rule number 3, signs of life.
Yeah. So this was a lot of feedback with regards to it. So any fish that you submit has to have some sort of sign of life, whether it's flapping or maybe you see the gill or you see it moving, which means no measurements can be taken at home. All the measurements have to be taken on location. And let's say you catch a stringer of perch, like 24 perch, and they all die. You can't measure one of those dead perch. Every fish that you enter has to have some sort of sign of life that the judges can verify. And that way we can ensure that, Scottie Martin didn't catch a stringer of perch and then bring it to me, and I'm going to take the biggest one and measure it. Or, there's no frozen fish being measured.
Yeah.
Your fish have to have some sort of sign of life.
Now, Ken's asking video of live release. If you are releasing that fish, by all means, you can submit it. It is not a requirement. As Mike has just said, we need to know that that fish was alive at the time that you caught it. And when you submit it, what you do after that fish is truly your business, because you have the license to do exactly that. We will encourage you to release all the fish, but not necessarily do you have to.
Yeah. And they're saying burbot, measuring a burbot will be fun. Yeah, we've seen a lot of people try to measure a burbot. You can never really get it straight, but you can definitely tell it's alive because it's squirming a lot. So do your best. Try to get it straight.
What about an eel? I can only imagine an eel wouldn't be the easiest thing to measure.
Not easiest. I know for the TV show, Alexi from the Master Casters in Quebec caught an eel, and it's definitely difficult. Brad's caught an eel in the past for the CFN FishOFF. It is not the easiest fish to measure for sure.
So the hybrids and the signs of life, obviously, did that come from feedback from our participants, Mike?
Yeah, definitely. There was we put out a survey, and there was a lot of people that commented definitely about the signs of life. And then the hybrid species, that's really from the judging team, because it's so hard to sometimes determine which parent or which two species are the parents of that hybrid. So now it's easy. You know what? It's a hybrid, 1 point. There was a comment saying that there's no benefit of catching a hybrid if you can catch a larger parent, which is totally true. Like if you can catch a 24-inch laker and then you only catch a 15-inch splake, then your laker is going to count more than your splake. However, now you can include that splake as a brookie rather than the larger parent, which is a laker. So if you're in a place that you can't catch, purebred brookies or speckled trout, but there's splake around, now you could take that splake and you can enter it as a 1 point hybrid under the speckled trout category.
So that's Brandon Kodosky that came up with that comment. He knows a thing or two about the CFN FishOFF. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Brandon might know a thing or two. Merle, big shout out to you, Mike. Two cute guys. She's got to be talking about you. All right. So no, I don't see any other questions on that one. So let's move on to our next point, and it is a rule change. It is a new TV format that I'm really excited to have Mike explain, because there's been a lot of thought that's gone into this, obviously speaking to COVID. So
there's two TV format changes. One is the winners of the 2021 Spring FishOFF will be recording for TV, not this summer, but during next year's Spring FishOFF. So let's say the drag pullers win, just saying, because they've won the last 2 years. So let's say the drag pullers win, and then let's say the Little Johns win. So Rock Hard Tackle wins, like they're selected as the Alberta team. And let's say what's another team off the top of my head? The Hog Hunters come. Yeah. They come out of Manitoba, and we tap the Hog Hunters and Rock Hard Tackle. Hey, you guys didn't come in first, but you came in first in your province. Would you like to film for the CFN FishOFF TV show? So those three teams would be filming, but not this summer. They'd be filming next spring during next year's CFN FishOFF. So that accomplishes two things. One, now it gives those teams a year to prep for the TV show. Two, it also allows new winners to be crowned every single year, because let's say the drag pullers win this spring, next spring they won't be fishing in the CFN online tournament because they'll be recording for the TV show. So the main reason, let's give teams a lot more time to prepare for the TV show, and two, it allows a rotation of winners on a yearly basis.
Yeah, so we will be getting down to finer details in regards to that, so that everybody understands how that format is going to work. But just as Mike outlined it, it is obviously to speak to COVID, because there's so much uncertainty right now. We want to be able to put something together, and we certainly want to highlight you anglers and you participants. So we're making sure that we're able to still do that and still produce a TV show, which there is, it looks like Christina is asking for a winter FishOFF TV show as well, Mike.
It is very expensive to put a TV show together. When we have enough sponsorship, maybe, but it's an idea for sure. We could bring it back to the table, but it would be fun. It would be fun,
but it unfortunately would require quite a bit more. And as it is right now, we are tapped, Christina, but it's a great idea, and we would love to be able to do it. There are some questions in here in regards to saltwater, Mike, and I know you and I have talked about this, and I want to thank Cliff Moores again for stepping up and mentioning some of the ill-fated fish species out on our West Coast, and perhaps how we might not want to be suggesting anglers target those fish. Even though it's a multi-species tournament, there would be designated species in which we would allow them to target. We don't want to take away the saltwater aspect, because we have some fish on our East Coast that we would love to see anglers target. I'd love to see another dogfish and possibly even a shark entered. I think that would be very cool. But we are good in the coming weeks. Mike and I and the judges will be brainstorming on what species we're going to allow to target on our East Coast and what species we will be allowing on our West Coast.
Yeah, just because people from our community have stated there's certain fish species that are saltwater that are of concern right now. So we do need to do, like, right now everything is open, but we're going to do some research. We're going to talk to people in our community, and if there is a really big concern that we need to incorporate into the rules, we'll do that. So stay tuned. Join us every Tuesday to see if there's any species that will be excluding, saltwater species that will be excluding from the CFN FishOFF, but we're still doing some due diligence in terms of that. So no decision has been made yet.
Yeah. So Kenneth, as I said, the unfortunate thing out on the West Coast, and I know what you're saying. My biggest concern is how it is viewed as an ethical tournament. If there are concerns for fish not surviving a possible release, and the number of scales that will be lost during the handling of that fish. The salmon out on our West Coast are in trouble, especially in certain areas of the Pacific Ocean and on our West Coast. So we want to make sure that we're speaking to those concerns, and folks that are out there have a better idea of the state of their fishery than folks here in Ontario. So we want to make sure we're listening to the right people. But I think, as I said, that is part of the brainstorming exercise, Kenneth, that you, Mike, and the rest of the judges will get involved in, because, as I said, I don't want to get this wrong. I want to make sure we're protecting and fishing ethically and making sure that we have fish-offs in the future. So that's what I mean by that, Kenneth, and we'll make sure that we talk about it. Brandon's talking about a bluefin tuna. Holy crap. If we see one of those. Wow.
Yeah.
That would
so it's a discussion that we said we would have. We haven't had it yet, but stay tuned every Tuesday. We'll let you know about any rule changes. The one thing we really want to do this year, and it came loud and clear in terms of the feedback, is let's try to get all these rule changes finalized prior to the start date of the CFN FishOFF, so that rules aren't changing during the tournament. And so we really want to make that happen. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of new TV format.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Go.
There is a part 2 to that new TV format, because if these teams are not filming until next spring, who's going to be on TV this summer, so that on January 1st, or the first week of January, not necessarily January 1st, but the first week of January 2022, someone has to film this summer.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be filming till the spring. Someone has to film this summer. And stay tuned next Tuesday, and we'll let you know the brand new TV format in terms of who will be filming this summer and how your team can be included in that new TV format.
Sounds awesome, Mike. All right, last but not least, this isn't really a rule change, something that we normally do each year that we run this, but of course it is the preliminary prize pack for everyone who is registering a team. And as you mentioned, we're currently at 75, so we're almost where we want to be able to give that prize pack away.
Yeah, so early bird prize pack to the first 100 teams. And it might actually be 100 now. I haven't checked in a couple of days, but first 100 teams, prize pack. Make sure to get registered if you're not already. There's a prize table right behind me. Let me show you some of this cool stuff. And then next week, I'll show some more stuff. So this is from one of our new sponsors, Black Fly Lures, some spinner baits. Let me just take these out. These are awesome. If I could, there's a pack in here, and inside the pack, there's a bunch. I don't know if I can untangle the barrel of monkeys, but there's Black Fly Lures. These are cool. These are from Next Gen Baits. And they're a soft plastic bait with a rattle inside. So that's a pretty cool concept. Usually we have a hard body bait with a rattle and soft baits with no rattle. But this is a soft bait with a rattle. So that's pretty cool. There's a couple different versions. So there's like the perch version, and then this looks like a rainbow, different sizes. So that is from Next Gen Baits. And then from Sid Fish's Jigs, we have a whole bunch of different jig heads in there. So thank you, Sid Fish's Jigs. And then we also have some from C4 Lures. They've donated some rod wraps. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on this table. I'll go through some more stuff upcoming weeks. But, you know, if you're the first 100 teams, make sure, if you're not registered yet, make sure you get in there and qualify for that prize pack.
You don't even have to participate in the fish-off in order to qualify for a prize pack. That's pretty darn cool.
No, you don't even have to catch one fish.
You don't have to catch a fish. Never mind endangered, protected, or any other fish for that matter. Just enter a team, and you will be You could be randomly picked to win that prize pack behind Mike. And good luck to everyone who is entering in the process. I think we're up to 80. Somebody said 80 teams now are registered. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, join us every Tuesday. What I'm going to do when I get off this call, I'm going to go through the chat, and there's probably tons of questions that we missed. I'll go through the chat, and then we'll start from there answering those questions next Tuesday.
Brandon say no purchase necessary. Absolutely. I think that as funny as that is, there is some assembly required, and Mike had to assemble that mass behind him. But we want to keep this, guys, free. It's all about accessible angling. So if we start putting a price tag on this, things are going to change. You know, people's moods are going to change. We want it to be a free online tournament. We don't want to charge. And we are so lucky to have some fantastic sponsors that allow this to be a free tournament and are able to carry over our production costs so that they are covered in order to put this to the masses and allow all of you to be your own little stars of your own little show. And for everyone who's participated in it and seen what it can turn into, because this past year, phenomenal. So we want to see everyone included in the magic of the CFN Fish-Off this coming season.
I believe the month of May, Sportsman Channel is free. So if you haven't seen the CFN Fish-Off on the Sportsman Channel, go sign up. It is free this month. And next Tuesday, we'll be revealing the generous sponsorship from Shimano. I'll show you last year's rod that we are giving away. This one, so that's what we were giving away last year. This one is going to Mr. Robertson himself. So Nick Robertson, once lockdown is over, this one is being shipped to you. So congratulations, Nick, for winning this on our Shimano contest. But we have new Shimano that will be given away, and stay tuned next week and we'll reveal what combos you'll be able to win for this year's tournament.
So Rosie, great question. Can a team fish in separate boats? Absolutely. In fact, team members can fish from opposite provinces if they wish. A team doesn't necessarily have to be someone that lives close to you. If you end up picking team members, and we've had it in the past where one was, say, in Alberta, the other one was in Ontario, it does not matter. So yes, you can fish in separate boats, separate lakes, separate provinces. It does not matter. And Kenneth,
you have to be in the same province, though, Scotty.
Oh, you do have to be in the same province?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have provincial winners. So
that is true. Yeah. You're right. Kenneth, Brent, I see what you're saying about the bluefin tuna. And I think, Kenneth, that's exactly why we need to get together and brainstorm this, because there are definite concerns. And I don't want to beat around the bush in regards to those concerns. People who we respect here at CFN have come out and made claims about certain concerns that they have for their fisheries. So it's just something that we need to have a discussion about. We're not saying right now that we are mandating this. We just have to talk about it. So before we decide what fish are allowed, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, and then to answer that other question, so you definitely don't have to fish together. I know Ken and I, during the CFN Fish Off, sometimes we were together, sometimes we were apart. Strategically, some days Ken said, "Hey, I'm going over here to target this species, and I'm going to go over here to target this species, so we can get, two different species." And then sometimes strategically, "Hey, let's fish together in the same boat." So totally up to you how you want to work that out with your partner, but you do have to be in the same province. Yeah,
very good. So we've cleared a few things up, made things a little bit muddier than before we started tonight, but we will clear it all up come game time. And as I said, the tentative date right now is May long weekend. So we're hoping that we can stick to that. As I said, COVID, fingers crossed, and everything else. I hope everybody stays safe in the meantime. Hope everybody is getting the vaccine. Not that I'm going to wave that flag, because some people have difference of opinions on it. But I do believe, it's my opinion, I don't believe we're going to be able to travel without proof of purchase, if you will, with that vaccine. So
yeah, I know my partner Ken got the vaccine yesterday. I was supposed to check up on him today. I see he's commenting in the comments, so I know he's alive and well. So yes. I'm happy that you're alive and well, Ken.
He's very alive and well. Absolutely. He's very alive and well. And I managed to get the Pfizer on Sunday, and absolutely no issues. So it's all good.
All right, Scotty, next Tuesday, let's do it again, and we'll start with answering any questions that we missed in the chat. But thank you for joining us, and make sure you register if you haven't registered already.
Amen. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
On Thursday. Peace.